Hello, welcome back to the Print Shop, the Comix Wellspring Insider Show, where we'll be bringing you company updates, answering the questions from our community, and giving you a first look at what we're building for you. Today, we're giving a little recap of our year, some wins, some achievements, both personal and CWS professional, which is great. And we're so thankful for all of our creators, not only the ones that print with us, but supported us and supported the business throughout this year, and our audiences that tune in every single week to these shows that we've been building up. And from spotlights to Inspired Ink to Spilled Ink and now the Print Shop. It's so great to have all you guys tuning in and asking questions. Of course, I'm your host, Brandon Bloxdorf, your CWS Brand and Community Director. I'm here. Actually, Chris is sick this week, so it's just me and Dan, the CEO, hanging out. Dan, how are you? Happy holidays.
Good. Happy holidays. How are you? How was your
Great,
holiday?
great.
Good.
Great.
I hope everyone had a great holiday. Yeah. It was good rest for a short amount of time, but it was rest.
It's always nice when the holidays land in like the middle of the week where you're just like, cool, I get like two days off.
Kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And you come back to a billion emails. So
yeah, that's the fun part. All the questions we came back to a lot on our Discord. So like, if you guys haven't signed up for our Discord channel, there's a link here in the episode description. Head to there. There's links in our link tree on all of our bios everywhere. So join our Discord. We gather a lot of questions from there. A lot of insight from our community. It's been pretty booming so far. I've really enjoyed running our Discord channel. So check that out. We'll be answering some of the questions I got brought up here too. But I guess that does fall under achievements. But let's start from the beginning with you, Dan. This year's been crazy. It's been insane for CWS. What's been some wins that you felt like you've had?
Well, I mean, we have had quite a few. It's been a challenging year, to say the least, but in a good way, because we are trying to do something I think that is pretty incredible. The print on demand book of one. And well, I think one of the biggest achievements is partnering with, partnering with some great platforms like Global Comics. I think that was a really cool win. I really like them over there, and we've created a great relationship, and what we're building is very like-minded. So I consider that was a huge win. And I could say the exact same for Comix.one. They're so gung-ho for comics. It's really exciting to see such passion like mirrored. So to develop these like solutions for creators, I think that pursuit has been a real big win so far. Obviously, we still got a long way to go and a lot more platforms to serve, and also the creators directly. So big things for next year. But this year was kind of the winding up and just getting traction and moving forward. Other than seeing, 500,000 or so comic books come to life, I'd say that was a pretty big one.
Would you have any like numbers or stats? I know we were trying to look some up before the show.
I know.
It's hard to get specific with how our things work. You know what I mean? Orders versus books included. There has to be.
Yeah,
we're looking at the numbers.
We're e-commerce, so a lot of that data is collected. I'm just probably didn't do any of my homework before jumping on here. Vacation mode.
Holiday season.
I'd say, I mean, if I'm just doing some calculation, I think it is nearly like 700,000 books. I think through the year. I think this last quarter we cracked 8. I think we're at like 8,030 creators, publishers, brands that we've worked with. So I think that was a huge accomplishment and says a lot. Very exciting stuff, and I want to see that grow during this POD, evolution. And I think that's what's going to happen in 2026. So allows us to get a little more competitive with our pricing and push that down to the creator, and so they increase those margins. That's what I really want. I'm looking forward to being able to create through this system, is make creators more money. I think that's so they can create more. So I think we've made super big strides. I think what we're trying to do is absolutely it's big. It's big, and people think we're bigger than we are, but we are a small team, and we're trying to do something pretty incredible. And we just made some really big milestones right before the holidays, so in our development, so that's exciting. So there's a lot more to come. I think I'd have a lot more to say in 2026, January and stuff. So
Yeah, literally, I think it was the 23rd. We did some final touch-ups and some big things happened on just the progress of like going working with Comics.1 on the POD. And that was exciting, right? Entering the holiday season,
yeah,
getting the first test orders in. I thought that was
yeah, I praise our team because they're working around the clock. They're seeing holes in the system and catching them before we go too far deep and putting it out there. So we're really stress testing it and making sure that it's ready for the volume and can scale, because that's going to be important, especially the more platforms we kind of get integrated with. We just want to be ready, and we don't want any of the problems to pop up at scale when we start pumping a lot of those books through there across the ecosystem.
I know, and it's kind of crazy because even this year, when you kind of think back at it, in January, this wasn't even an idea for us, and it's insane what can happen in just 12 months with the business of what we were progressing towards, what we were building. January, I think this first quarter, it was mostly a lot of wrapping up that transition we had in 2024, kind of growing into who we are right now, and then we launched panels in May. So like I think the first 4 months entering our second quarter, it was really just figuring out our stance and just like getting back on our
Yeah,
feet with everything.
yeah, no,
Um,
100%. It was big on just kind of getting ourselves leveled out and ready for another sprint of development across the brand. And I think and this year, everything kind of moves slower than you would want, especially how I am. I think everything kind of moved naturally, and we all grew and learned a lot about you know um, some holes in our game, but we had to like deconstruct a little bit just to reconstruct for scalability. And I think that was really important for us to take the time and do that. And that's kind of what happened after the move and stuff like that. It was really important for us to make sure, even if there's a disruption in our system, that it doesn't kind of like collapse, and especially as we grow and more volume comes through and stuff like that. So I think that's what this year was about. But it also sparked something pretty incredible. And I think we had to evolve if we wanted to really do, and you and I have talked about that. It's like, if we really want to do anything really great for the industry, then we have to constantly evolve and leverage that growth to like create solutions out there. And I think we're doing that, and just had to make the leap, and that's what we did. So big year, big decisions,
a lot of experiments, a lot of risks,
a lot of experiments, a lot of risk, and it's setting us up for next year. And next year is, I think we're going to see a lot of the things we work so hard to build put in place and running efficiently, and really we're going to see a lot of shifts in the industry, I think. And then only growth after that, of getting creators into new countries, and creating this kind of global supply chain that allows creators access to different markets, but also allows them to create data and collect data and leverage that data, get in shops. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I think that's really the snowball effect of what we're doing right now. And
what do you think was one of the most challenging things you had to help like figure out during this process this year? Because I mean,
yeah,
everything from quality to control to building the literal backbone and I guess internal organs as well for what we're launching in 2026. What were some of the biggest hurdles you felt like you had to overcome and you did overcome?
Yeah. Well, I think some of the biggest hurdles was like really finding a system that could just immediately have an effect on, our processes, but also for the long term. And that's tough to do. It's like you're trying to you're trying to build a car, but also work on, the car at the same time, and or two different cars at the same time, and it's really hard to kind of switch back and forth. But think what we did that was really challenging was to put in a lot of operating procedures, and like you said the word, it's risk. We you know my partner and I invested more into into this venture, this POD side of it, and we really saw an opportunity to like bring something new to the market, but also to kind of reinvigorate print in comics. And I think the team all agrees like to lean into the actual, quote that we keep saying, it's for creators by creators. Well, this is our best creation, I think, that we're bringing to the table. That's really all I think about with it. It's our creation, and it's our responsibility.
Did we get Dan frozen for a moment? I think we did. He'll bounce back in a second. I think, with that creation aspect, it's one of those things of just utilizing what we have and kind of making these dreams
Really
come
make it the
forward.
best we can.
Oh, wait, maybe exactly what I was saying. That was great. Now we're back. That's so funny. No, continue. You just went out for a second.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good.
you
Yeah.
broke in right when I was
Sorry.
just like, we're
I
creating the best
literally
we
have
could.
a giant snowstorm here. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, we have
But
pretty crazy weather too. It was snowing
yeah,
this morning. The wind's been insane all morning. I've been like, I hope the internet's good for the stream
yeah,
today.
I know. I know. I thought about that all day too. I think it's like I don't know. It's like 11 inches right now. It's like nuts. It's deep. Yeah, we get crazy snow. Um, yeah. I was saying, yeah, this is our best creation. I mean, it's our creation. And like anyone could agree, it's kind of painful to create. It's, you have to make a lot of marks, you erase a lot of crap, and then you see that kind of remnants of the old marks kind of sitting there on the paper. Yeah. And well, and so you always see that imperfection. So I think it's the same kind of gist, and we've kind of all grown together, and I think that's really important. So some of these hiccups that we've seen this past year of like, okay, how do we put kind of like a standard operating procedure in for packaging? Because we've worked with other printers before, and it's like they just don't get it. So it's like we have to have those painful conversations, but also like we had to kind of deconstruct. And I think again, it's like breaking down your muscles when you're working out. Like it sucks. It sucks, and it's painful, but what you get out of it is so much better. So it's kind of vague, my answer, but I think it's kind of an aggregation of all the little nuances we've all felt. I mean, we're all connected in teams, so we kind of feel each other's pain points when things happen. So I think it's just in kind of to go back to the accomplishment. I think our team is one of the greatest accomplishments. When I look at businesses, and I've been a part of plenty of teams, our team has gone through a lot together and really believed in the vision. So I think that's one of the great accomplishments. But also, I think collectively, that's always been the pain, because everyone's so gung ho about making this work and making this happen. And I know they're feeling the same exhaustion and hope, but also like, damn it,
Yeah.
like when things go wrong. But I think we've come together like a family and gone through it. So I think that if that answers the question,
Yeah.
it's probably just an aggregation of all the little nuanced things that we faced through this year. But we still came out there. We still went to the cons. We still, showed up. We still printed, and we still grew. So
Yeah.
I think all of that's really good. Really good stuff. So nothing really terrible kind of floats my mind. The year before, I could have said a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, this year was exciting because it seemed like we were just getting pulling out of the trenches from 2024 and the split from Greco, and as we became part of Carta and kind of joined up, and now even stuff is evolving from there, which is exciting. But just like our integrations and how we run and operate have changed so much. But you're right, the team is always there, and that's what's really great about work. Is having a team that you could reach out for questions, insight. We all kind of balance each other out. When there's a high, we're all on that high. But when there's even a low, it doesn't matter on what part of the business, we all try to figure out a solution and we all try to jump in or try to understand things more so we could actually provide answers or insight or come up with new ideas. I think the innovation behind the team at CWS is really where we just take major strides and hope and really what keeps us all going more than anything.
I love that. Yeah, innovation for sure. Man,
I mean, Jacob alone, he's killed it.
Yeah, I know these
that he's done,
and everyone's evolved. Everyone's evolved, and that's what's cool when you have a great business. I mean, even you like creators out there, if you're running a publishing team and you're working together, like if everyone's growing together, I feel like there's like this common thread, and it, I guess, through the good and the bad that allows you to kind of like, strengthen numbers. You kind of like get through things faster. You celebrate harder, but and everyone kind of picks each other up, but also everyone's like striving to be a better at their job. Yeah. I mean, and that not just, well, I got to do better because I have to. It's I want to know this. I want to know that. I mean, people are on curiosity trips all the time, like just learning about everything. But also, it's a collective decades of experience too that gets mixed in the pot. Like, I think we could roll into that part because our team has grown, and I think that was a huge victory, I think, on my end, because I've always said this. I always wanted to go in business to employ people, not so they work for me, but just so I can see people have great career tracks and stuff like that. I think that's part of like the beat of it. So like getting people, incorporated with the vision and getting on the team and, bringing a lot to the table. Man, I love meeting people that know so much more about stuff than me. It's just, it's so refreshing, because refreshing, like I ever am in the opposite situation. It's so refreshing though, when, because I've had jobs before. I had a lot of jobs, and the people who care and the people who don't care. But it's really nice to kind of have people that come with a plethora of experience that can kind of like get their point of view and insights, and then you realize, wow, things are so much better when you have this collective growth and knowledge. I think that was one of the great things this year, is getting our new team members. That was a big move.
I know what you mean there too, because like even like with Apollo and the stuff that I run, our team grew a lot this year too, but it's because I found people. I think maybe I just took note of this working with you so much for the last couple of years, but like something I really learned was finding people that are just as driven as you are and inspired, and that will go out there and work on things and do stuff without you having to fully, tell every single detail. If you just give them like a whiff and then they run with it, and they're there to help support and build and work and collaborate, but just giving someone a little hint of something and then seeing where they go with it. And if they go far, you're like, I want this person more with me. Yeah. And it happened a lot with Apollo. And like I've onboarded 4 or 5 people this year, because it's just like, I need you on my team because of what you're doing. And I know you can elevate this more than what I'm doing right now. And you feel you want to find extra pieces to your puzzle, like you want to find the people to help make it bigger.
It's just finding your, colorists and your, inkers and stuff that like make sense. That will bring the composition to life the way you've envisioned it. And in our case, like we've brought really great people on that actually can bring a more flavor to the composition than the vision had, or take a different route or process to get to that vision, to see that vision come to fruition. So I think that's it. It's super important to have those people around. And when I hire, I say the same thing to everyone. Like, it's an entrepreneur at heart, like people that. And I think the whole philosophy behind CWS is that it's entrepreneurs at heart. Everyone gets a piece of the pie, and I think the best outcomes come when there's, and call it what as it is, an incentive, but that's why people own businesses, as an incentive. So, like, having everyone on the team, kind of like, I joke about this, but you got people who stay up at night stressing about getting that one little thing fixed because they're, and you read books about it, like people at Apple and stuff like that. And yeah, and I think that's a huge win. And you have to see that spark in the eye if you want to succeed. I mean, to get your project done too quickly, you have to have the right people with that drive. So that was a huge win. And I hope, and we started growing the team like the last half of the year. And I think we're going to start seeing the outcomes of that here in the first quarter. It's going to be really, really cool. Seeing these people put their best foot forward and really make this whole vision come to life. That's what I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. No, yeah. And it's kind of crazy the way things can alter quarter to quarter. When we look at our year and the stretch and how much has even changed with the content we've produced over the year. I was looking over the numbers and the data, and it's, we network with so many creators. I didn't realize how many videos we put out, how many episodes we've done, how many creators have been, featured. And especially because, and this feels like forever ago, but we had spotlights going on at the beginning of this year that started in October 2024. And then it lasted until February of 2025. And we had like 68 episodes of these 15-minute spotlight episodes where we just brought creators on to, promote themselves, to pitch their stuff. And that was such a cool thing to have. We discontinued it because really the results weren't there for what we were looking for with that program and the amount of work that went into it. But it's kind of crazy. Now we're going into fluctuations with our content of what's worked and what hasn't worked, and kind of testing things out. But Spotlights was like the beginning of this year, and it really kickstarted a lot of our stuff. We were doing Inspired Ink. We only did 23 episodes of Inspired Ink, so about half a year's worth of episode for that. I think we did we had a big break in the middle of the year. And that's when con season started. That's when panels was getting kickstarted in May and created and everything. And Connor was just saying here, spotlights were super inspiring. I would love to bring them back in some format. It's just more of a bandwidth and capability.
Yeah. I definitely liked it. I remember the early days when I was CMO that I would, man, if you get in the early feeds, it's fun fact. I was editing those animated spotlights. They totally could not. You need a whole team, but I did it. I remember we would animate like I'd make these like theatrical short videos of some of the people who applied to be on the spotlight, and it was intensive work. Like, it was just a lot. Like, but I just did it because I was like, I like doing that stuff. That was before I had kids, but but those are sweet. Those are cool. You're like making like when we spotlight creators and spotlight their work. Dude, like that sparks a lot. It sparks a lot of inspiration, but also sparks a lot of connections. I think once our platform gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it is in my roadmap to have there will be a platform within the platform for something like that. And I really, really want to see that come to life. Also, I was thinking about this. I also want to see the comic book cover.
Contests again.
Contest.
Yeah. We've been talking about that for years now.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was so cool. We had, I think 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
That was right before I joined. Yeah.
But that was huge. I mean, that was really fun. That was really fun. We had a lot of people engage in that, and a lot of people, had a lot of cool covers come through. I mean, shoot, I saw so many covers, and it like I had the team vote, which was great. And yeah, the outcomes were really good. I'd like to see that come back to life
Maybe
and make
that's
it
something
bigger reward.
like on Spilled Ink or something at some point, that's, I mean, that was the next stat was Spilled Ink. We did 48 episodes, like, and having the themed months like we did for
Yeah,
panels, or when we did like Inktober, having like like if we did a cover contest like for a bit and we got to see people work on their covers on Spilled Ink, I think that'd be so much fun.
yeah,
And immersive with that too. But I mean, we only missed there's what, 52 weeks in the year. So we really only missed like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out of the whole year of Spilled Ink. Probably our most
that's crazy.
consistent,
That's
most
crazy.
watched show. I think we
Yeah.
had over 50 creators guest on this now because we started bringing the beginning of the year. We were still doing prompts. So we would just assign a prompt and we'd all like draw it out and whatnot, in big 11 by 17, our blue line paper we sell with CWS. And then in May with panels, the comic creation guidebook, that's when I was like, I'm going to try making comic book pages. So I was making my first comic book pages in May, and now I'm making a little zine, which is pretty cool out of the, 5 or 6 pages I
Yeah.
made. But that was a huge leap, I think, going just from, because a lot of us, we always talk about as an artist, comics are so much more than just pinups, and just single
Right.
static images. And so going into that sequential realm was so challenging and so much fun, but now it's so addicting. And now we're making a bunch
Mhm.
of just comic pages. But Spilled Ink was a great monumental. I think that show's just going to get bigger in 2026 with some plans that we're trying to work out with it right now.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, that show is really fun to watch. I know I gotta set my system up so I can actually join and draw. I need to. I've the last time I put pencil to paper, I think it was traditional, and man, maybe years ago.
Oh man, I mean,
But
running everything you've been, it makes sense.
yeah,
It's hard to find
I
time.
do. I did have been picking up the guitar a little bit more though. I do need to get those. You gotta forget whatever you're building out there, man. You don't want to drain your creativity on like just hustling and bustling. You gotta like go back to what feeds it too. And that's
That's my biggest thing I had to learn this year. I burned out a lot this year, a lot. This year was a lot between CWS and Apollo and just, regular life and everything and growing the team, and from this team to like my outside team to my, 9 to 5, then 5 to 9 or whatever people call it. It's a 24/7 job, to be honest.
yeah,
But it was figuring out not how to everyone's going to burn out at some point at a certain degree, but how to bounce back from that. And that's the
yeah,
challenging part, bouncing back in a healthy way, in a good way, in a way that keeps you inspired and exciting and not like you never want to get annoyed with what you're dealing with on a day-to-day, especially when
yeah,
you're lucky to do comics all day.
yeah,
Like you got to keep
yeah.
that. So finding things outside of comics, so healthy, so good. Find something to just take your mind away from the pages and the technicality and the constructs and everything.
Yeah,
Best thing you can do.
I find like time constraints is always that's always the one that kind of kills the creativity to me. That's why I block off my design days
Yeah.
because I have those design days there as safeguard. So on those days, I get to design, and maybe it's most 9 out of 10 of the time it's for a project for what we're doing, but just knowing that you don't have to like break up your creative kind of traction like that's super super important. So like even just putting aside time where you're not, it's like having like all the devices and the things grabbing your attention. If you just put all that stuff away and like sit in nature, that's good
Yeah.
for you. But I think the same goes with designing, like, or doing anything creative uninterrupted. Those are super important. So I've just been trying to practice that a lot. I think that's important to do and keep that creative. And then pick up the guitar. I have them sitting around here, so I just like try to pick them up once in
Yeah.
a while and
Mhm.
start playing. And then you realize, wow, I missed this.
Yeah. You missed doing
know,
other
I
things.
was zonked out for like 2.5 hours. My kids were playing Legos, which by the way, crazy amount of Legos this Christmas. It was man, I love that. I love the brand. I love Lego. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
cool.
top tier.
Such a cool brand.
You can never get honestly, and it's cool how it's like the one toy staple that's maintained from our childhood into now as well.
It's
You know,
just genius. It's always, and everyone knows that. It's just everything about that toy is genius. And that brand. But yeah, well, I think we're building a pretty cool brand too. So
yeah.
I'm excited about that.
And so aside from Split Ink, we also had, with the print shop, we're 2 episodes in, launched a new show this year. We killed 1 at the beginning of the year, maintained 2, brought out a new one. And so far the print shop's been great, especially the reception we're seeing online.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. I would like to, I'd like to like get more creators on and have these conversations too. It would be nice to have like a direct creator on as well.
Yeah.
Like someone who's been working with us or something, and ask some of these
maybe
questions.
I'll surprise us with some guests at random
Yeah.
every so while. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of partners too out there that probably would like to join. And I did want to bring on some of I want to bring some of our team members on and show their face, but also talk about what they do and stuff. I think that would be really cool. So we'll probably aim to do that, I'm sure.
We'll have a pre-press day, and we'll just get
Pre-press
Mary
day.
and everyone in on. Yeah,
I like that. I like
that would be fun. That would be tons of fun, especially because it'd be a fun like Q&A time to really poke their brains and have the audience know that this is time. You got pre-press questions, you want to know technical stuff, bringing the experts on to answer. We did that for a panel at a virtual con 2 years ago, and that was a great panel that they all killed it on. And it was crazy how much I learned from that, because there's so much to absorb. It's a great thing about this job is that there's always something to learn that you just didn't really know about.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, shoot. I mean, I learn every day too. Now I'm learning a whole lot about, technology. It's like a lot of technical development stuff that I did keep pace with our CTO. Now he's a wizard, so it's really hard to kind of keep up with that.
I feel that. And then we also had the random segment I brought up this year, just a test, and the test was way better than I thought. The reception was way better than I thought, and you guys mailed way more packages than I thought you would mail. But Cats Comics and Coffee also got a killer little coffee package from a local Detroit company, Sabbath Coffee Roasters.
I
Check
need to
them out.
stop there.
Yeah, I actually brewed a cup this morning. I'm filming some stuff for a new intro because I'm kind of going to rep their coffee on the next new episodes that are coming out. But that'll come back in 2026. We had 6 episodes launched just as a test. I wanted to get a vibe and see how people would react, if it would get traction, if it was wanted or not. And people loved it. And I was super surprised. I was super happily surprised because my cats, as you can tell from this video, enter every single segment I do at some point. So I was like, I might as well just make a little segment out of it and talk about some indie books. So it's a way for us to promote and to showcase your books. It's kind of like our spotlight spinoff to kind of still rep creators and get their names and their books out there, but a bit easier to manage. So those will probably come out at least once a week, starting with the new year. I'm really hyped about those. So 6 episodes, cool segment. It'll be coming back. But I'm really hyped on that one as well. I think it has some good potential to do some expanded episodes too.
Yeah, another aspirational thing I always wanted us to put into play was that.
And then we also had let's see, we had the one Kickstarter for panels. Panels is under, and I know panels, we entered panels in May with so many plans and such a big aspiration, and we had deadlines. We had a whole year mapped out to work on panels and to get it delivered by the holidays. And little did we know how much was going to change between when we were making those decisions in April and May to what the summer did to CWS. And so it changes the pace that we were creating it on, the model that we made to kind of build out the book and put it into production. So it just kind of slowed it down. It didn't cancel it. Everyone's
no way. That's my baby.
Yeah.
I've been working on that for years. I mean, and now you and Jade are doing a great job and carrying that torch across the finish line on the design side, and that's gonna come. And I've said it, I think, on recording before, but I'll say it again. Like, yeah, we're going to take care of everyone who believed in that and waited. I don't, you know, we can name all the excuses. We're doing some great things and that got in the way, but definitely want to make sure that those who backed us get a little something for waiting an extended amount of time. And I've said that a couple of times, and I'll definitely see that through. So
Yeah.
there's definitely going to be a cool payoff. And what we've done with taking a breather and looking at it again was, I think, developed without changing the formula, without changing some of the amazing nuances. We've actually, I think we've enhanced it tremendously through development. But the formula is still it's so good and works. I mean, we've tested it ourselves. We've created comic books with the formula. So it's a very cool formulaic kind of mix between engagement, fun, step by step, but also like hands-on guidance, like an educational format, which I think, yeah, it just took some time to kind of look at that again and say, how can we make it better? How can we make it easier? I wanted someone to sit down and be able to actually finish a comic book here. You know, kid, obviously we're going to start with a younger, demographic age group, but the formula is scalable for anyone.
And the way it's being created, I feel like any creator at any level will pick this up, writers, artists, and kind of just get a good framework of things, you know?
Exactly. I always thought it was like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and try to like shove like EDU down everyone's throat, because it's like, we're in indie comics. You know, you create it how you will. And I even say that in there, you know, I think that's important to say, like, this isn't like the only way, but it's definitely creates a story first approach for a strong, piece of a strong story. And that was one of the things I was like, okay, instead it's actually really great for working out. I mean, you're doing like your exercise. So it is like challenging you through, like, you have some level of parameters around the creation, but like for new starters, it's like working out again. It's helping your muscles kind of do that motion, but also giving you creative flexibility to think outside of the box. And I think it's a really good mixture of both of those. And I don't think, honestly, I did years of research, I don't think there's a product just like that out there right now. So I do think it's needed and it's going to be great. And I think we're going to take care of the people who believed in it from the get-go.
Yeah. And we have some cool guests that are going to be coming onto the book too that we haven't announced or, even told about yet. So there's going to be a lot of cool insight that creators are just going to want to love to see and like check out and get little tidbits. And I think even as we're creating it right now and we're almost done with like this draft of it, that's really exciting. It surprised me how much I've learned while creating it and how much I knew while creating it too. The knowledge you don't really realize that after doing stuff, over and over again. I was just like, oh, this is flowing out. Like I could talk about this for a minute. These certain chapter categories and everything that we're fleshing out and embellishing and bringing clarity
really the
to,
guidebook, right? We're fleshing out the guidebook a little better. And because the workbook's done, the formula's done, the workbook's done. Like that's the part of it, that's the actual hands-on part.
Yeah.
So to be a whole kit with it, but the guidebook is where really the meat and potatoes are, but also where most of the illustration work has to be done, because it is very, comic-like. It's an illustration kind of sequential kind of guidebook with an example of reverse engineering the formula and seeing the end result, which I think is absolutely fantastic the way we structured it. So, I'm excited about that. I'm super
so many
excited.
updates coming out. Probably closer to March, we'll have bigger updates with that, and we'll do a specialized episode just on panels as we get closer to that finish line.
Yeah.
And then also this year we did our second year of like a Spilding-tober. And that's just exciting, dude. Doing a Spilding-tober and getting so many people to draw the prompt that like me and Max create is so much fun. Like that, being able to go online and wake up in the morning and I see that everybody drew like a Twin Peaks image or like Gene Simmons or something ridiculous I put on there. I'm just like, yes, like I just love having that influence.
Dude, no one would be sweet is get everyone kind of like their own paper for that. Like we can pre-make them and get them to them, and then they kind of do it those
what
who
I
complete it can mail it in or something, get a book printed or
this is
into an
my
anthology.
idea. Like I want to be able to structure Inktober like early in the summer, right? And like have the list and have the prompts done, and then have like a sketchbook available. And every time you turn the page, it tells you the prompt like up top, so you know that page is
Ooh,
dedicated
that's
for that
cool.
prompt.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I've
that way
thought
you
about
have your little
that. Yeah.
sketchbook for just your Inktober sketchbook that's
Ooh,
special for that. And then people could, you could do your pencils a month early, like you could purchase it early and do your pencils in it, or you could start it right on October 1st and then start from there. But I think that'd be a cool way to level up this next year as we do another.
yeah, that would be
Um,
cool. That would be
um,
really cool.
and it's crazy. I've done Inktober. I think this is my third year doing it, maybe fourth. Typically, before I did Spilled Ink, I'd just do Inktober as much as I could, just to draw, just to try to get myself to do it because I don't draw all year, and then I would do it then. And seeing myself draw for a year and a half almost, and then dive into this year's Inktober, like I saw the level up in my drawings. And I'm slow. I only do pencils typically during Inktober because I kind of get elaborate sometimes. But like just knocking that out was like, wow, I'm pretty hyped. And I kind of have all this extra inking material to kind of just work through and practice on and,
Nice.
level up with. But it's really exciting to see the growth from year to year from my notebook. So I think providing that and you can have your own little collection and decide what you want to scan and create a little zine out of, I think would be a lot of fun for creators.
Yeah, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. I like that.
And then cons, dude. I a CW. It's always a blur between CWS and Apollo because typically I'm wearing two hats whenever I'm at a con. But I got to do 9 conventions this year, 9 events that I could
Wow.
recall off the top of my head. And that's pretty great. And it's kicked off with IC3. IC3 in March was just amazing. It was epic. It was so much. This year. I don't think you made it this year, huh? I think scheduling got in the
I don't think
way.
I did.
No, you
Was
did,
I?
huh?
No, I didn't. I went last year. Didn't I
Last
bring
year.
Nolan? I brought
Yeah,
Nolan.
yeah,
Yeah.
you brought Nolan last year, that's why. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
guys drove down there. IC3 was the first con that kicked off the year. We got a bunch of cool footage. There's a recap on our YouTube page. And it's gonna be held in Providence, next September. So they're switching up the city, the venue, the time. So next September is gonna be pretty busy. But, the IC3 was just a great way to kick off con season for me.
Yeah, it's a really fun con. Man, it just the indie spirit 100%, and you feel
Mhm.
it, the electricity, and yeah, it's really fun. I'm gonna go to this year for sure. That's definitely one on my list. I gotta make happen.
Yeah, it's always it was nice starting the year off slow too, like because con season once it starts, it rolls.
Yeah, it's fun.
After that, I did a library con, which I recommend to everybody. Go connect with your local library, figure out if they're doing events, figuring out if you could table at an event. You'll be shocked on what your library is doing, is already prepped up that you could get involved with. I sold more and I probably repped more and connected. I connected 3 people with CWS orders after that library con. Which was shocking because I was like, you're on my hometown. Like, we're not my hometown, but the town I live in now. But it's crazy. Like you guys are, choosing these other options. And I didn't know there were so many comic creators in the city until I did that event and we got to network and meet. So local stuff, I can't
Yeah,
push that enough to people
yeah.
is you'll save money and you'll actually have a bigger payoff and probably grow your audience and local connections a lot better, which I think everyone rightfully should be doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, those smaller ones, you have like if you're sitting there with comics and everyone's kind of got just novels and books and stuff, you kind of stand out, right? That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Library I've been to a couple libraries as of late with the boys that they had comics there and they got entwined in that, so that was really cool to see. So, and it was a library,
Yeah.
so that's really cool. Yeah, we got a couple libraries in our scope. Can't say we're working with them yet, but it's definitely something in the
Soon.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how we could do POD with libraries and make that more
Well,
accessible.
they have a system
Like
online
Hoopla
you can
and
sell
Libby and all
through and
that.
stuff. Yeah. But I know we were talking about like Library Pass for a little bit, so I think there's something there. But yeah, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of
Yeah.
places that need comics and they're and they're your brick and mortar. So
Yeah. Yeah, getting indie comics listed and also my library takes our books too. Like whenever I have a trade, They really just take trades and not single issues. But if you have a ISBN and a UPC on there, then they will take it and they will
Yeah.
post it in your library. So I definitely recommend reaching out to libraries creators to just see where you can even put your stuff in. You never know who will find it. And that was just exciting getting it in there. And then we did Bix, Brooklyn Independent Comic Expo or something like that. Yeah, that was cool. Bix was
Yeah.
rough this year. I think they're restructuring a lot. But it's always fun to head out and just to it's crazy because going up to there, I always walk around to tables and try to visit some people and how many people recognize us because the show and for what we're doing on with Spilled Ink and Spotlights. It was cool getting a lot of recognition there and meeting a lot of creators or just finding out how many creators that we just didn't see each other because we were in different spots the way they had it split up. And then we became acquainted later in the year and talked about Bix and having conversations. So cons like that are great. I also did I connected with my local comic shop again, highly recommended. Connect with your local shop, see if you could do an event there or if they're doing events. I got to do the 4 Color Fantasy summer sale and I sold some of my personal collection. I sold some Apollo books. I got to distribute some things and that was a cool time just to connect more with my
Yeah.
local shop and be reps
Yeah.
with them.
We got big plans for shops.
Mhm.
Got a lot of cool things in the works there. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in that arena, and I think we can play a big role in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excited. I got some great conversations started already. Ton of big network of shops already. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great things to say about 2026 when it comes to those.
We'll have so much knowledge after February when Comics
Oh,
Pro
yeah,
happens
comics.
and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited to go
I'm
be in
curious about
attendance.
it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm curious on yeah, Chris could speak into it probably a lot more, but
Mhm.
I'm curious on what they're, what they're doing.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Comics Pro is basically like a little event where a lot of realtors will get together and talk about the industry. They'll meet with publishers, and it's kind of like they have the Realtor Day on like New York Comic Con and whatnot, but it's like a 3-day, 4-day like little expo where there's a lot of stuff going on. So we'll be hanging out there, connecting with people and talking to some of the publishers and what we're doing. But also just seeing what the event is about because I know they're growing and they're getting bigger every year too. They
Yeah.
have a scholarship that's up right now for people.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that. That's
Excited.
pretty cool. Well,
Yep.
I think they'll be great to kind of get acquainted with, but also just connect with a lot of the shops. I think if we get I think our mission here is really collect a lot of information about the flaws in the systems. And like obviously we know a lot already. We talked to a lot of publishers already. We talked to a lot of, people in distribution. So we see the issues, and I think what we're building has a direct application of print and just and fulfillment and stuff like that. But I think it has much larger implications on the distribution kind of system as a whole, and obviously shops play a huge role in there. So we have, like I said, we have a lot of working relationships with a lot of shops, and I think that's being positioned right now as a way to figure out this printer to shop system. And
Yeah.
we're very close to that. And what we have in the pipeline is, I think will do a lot of good for that system. So very excited about that.
Yeah.
I love
Shops
hearing the word
are
shops.
I would say like the heart of indie comics, really. Like without your shop, it's hard to like keep beating sometimes. It's where you go to get inspired, to connect, to network, to kind of host you. There's so many things that your shop can do for you. And if we can elevate that more for indie comics, that's our biggest goal, in the next couple of years, is seeing how those two could be better integrated and not just be known for mainstream and give indie a
Yeah.
place within that, or at least help bolster indie comics to be supplied to be able to make comics at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, going global and hitting new marketplaces is all fun and stuff, but there's still a huge marketplace here that indie creators don't get to tap into. And I think what we're doing is going to kind of move both of those needles forward at the same time. But yeah, I'd very much like to see how that looks with the comic book shops. We have an idea, but just more knowledge, more education, more conversations we'll have So very cool.
And then I did 2 other events that I always recommend to people. Find your niche in comics. Find your niche and find events that your niche kind of carries out. Apollo is very punk rock. We also do a bunch of other stuff. So we got to do the Positive Force DC, which is a bunch of like punk activists from the 80s that brought like another event to DC and did like this throughout like I think April and May and June. They were doing events all over the place. And we got to table at one of them. And that's when we got to sell
That's
more
cool.
than I imagined. That was cool teaming up with an organization that was just within our niche of punk rock collective activists, whatnot. And that was a cool thing to just find another community to be a part of. The other one we did was the National Cannabis Festival because Apollo has a couple stoner books and whatnot. So we got
That's
to
cool.
do that, and it was and talk about independent comics in its pinnacle. You know what I mean? So I thought it was so cool to be the only comic book person there in general and have our team there and the amazement people see when they see art. And it's like what you're saying about the library.
Yeah.
People don't, you're going to stand out at these events. Like everyone's going to have all these other things. But you
Yeah.
having comics and art, you're going to pop and people
Dude,
are going to
for
strive
sure.
towards that.
Yeah. Comics belong in other industries. I mean, from so many different angles and so many yeah, I agree. And that's a great way to just show a kind of a micro version of that. You go to a local, like aligned with your niche that your comics are in line with, and yeah, you'll stand out. It's like, I remember back in the commercial printing days, like we'd print a lot for realtors and stuff. But also I was kind of running as CWS as CMO, but the commercial side of it, we'd go to these kind of real estate kind of, I don't know, events. And one year I did a comic book version of like a marketing collateral, and people were eating it up. Sorry about that. But like, there's like realtors like, oh, I want to be the hero in this. Can you create a story for me? And like that happened so much. So much. And so there is, man, there's a market for that. But that's just, again, a prime example of like other industries, man, thrive with comics. I mean, it's just sequential storytelling. So you can do anything.
Was it this year we launched the Lupus book? With the
Yeah, we did it for Lupus. So
yeah.
Brand Comics is kind of like this small kind of side project of mine where we are doing, it's just kind of backseat thing that I'm doing. But for the Lupus Foundation of Michigan, they helped them raise money. So they were created a comic book. We created a comic book for them. They raised money. Their organization stayed afloat from the campaign. And yeah, I mean, that was just, that in itself is such a cool story, but it's still happening and people are still receiving that comic book. It's still being used as a informational piece. And it's, my wife has lupus, so she's just a huge advocate for it, but she helped springboard that project. But yeah, I mean, it's being applied in places that you never know. You would never guess it. And I think we got to explore that a lot more going forward as an industry, as creators.
Yeah, no, it's because the easiest way to digest information is through like visuals and words.
Yeah,
And so
sure.
like it's just comics, 101 right there at that point. And figuring out how you could, you're always trying to find work or freelance or like find something. There's things you could think of that are like outside of just your personal creation to like embellish your skills on.
I would challenge any creator that's out there just trying to get a gig like that to find a business. I mean, a brewery. I mean, cannabis shop, anything like you can go out to these like businesses, pitch an idea, like have it kind of fleshed out and say like, this is, I mean, it's just a marketing tool. It's an awareness tool that's really fun. Just go out there and say, hey, here's an idea. This is, and there's plenty of data. Do a little data research, but there's plenty of data out there that shows like, I know like Nike and Marvel work together. I mean, I know that's a huge, but I mean, that crossover really works well, especially with having a new angle to storytelling. And if you're a small business and you have a comic book as a way of like getting your message across, like I think that's super powerful and different.
That investment will go
standing out.
so far.
I
Like
think so.
it'll stand a coffee shop. Like I would totally pick up a
For
comic from a
sure.
coffee shop.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Anyway,
And especially if you're just hanging out and you're like, oh, just check out your little book like while I hang out, and then you have
my medical illustrations, you know, it's like
dental stuff or anything like that.
dental. Yeah, dental. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Crazy.
That-
It's crazy that like when you start unraveling comics more and just being like, how can I like survive off of this besides
You
just my
gotta,
own personal work and fan art? There's options. You just have to
there's
think outside
options
the box.
for sure. And dude, there's so many business out there, so many businesses out there that are looking for a cool way to market. And I think creators, comic creators that can kind of like put the team together or even do it all themselves, like can get that out there, can do those things, can accomplish it. It's just kind of old school salesman, just go door to door. But guaranteed someone is going to pick that up and say, whoa, that sounds cool.
That little connection I made with Sabbath coffee roasters in Detroit, that's all because they made this book, Ghost Killer Gabriel. Quick shout out to them.
Which is cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Printed through us.
I'll go there when I'm down that area. I'll go there.
Yeah, they're great people. They sent me a little goodie bags. I mean, you never know. Like, hey, they printed through us. I reached out. We got some stuff, and so like you never know.
We should bring our coffee back.
I'm thinking so. We'll get the segment.
I got my cool packages. I was just looking at them a couple days ago. I'm like, man, this was so cool. This was such a cool thing. Creative juice. It's fun.
And the last 3 cons, crazy insanity. So one of them was a virtual con. We brought that back. We worked with Sierra Nova Comics, great people. Dylan and Greg, phenomenal. Joel from Full Metal Ninja.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Metal Ninja Studios.
Metal Ninja Studios.
You know, he's from Full Metal Jacket. Yeah. We had a great conversation too. I think, man, what was that, a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
Dylan's amazing.
Well, Dylan too. But I had a great conversation with Joel. I think I was on his
we were both on I'm spacing
show
name.
Come on,
Capital
man.
Comics. Capital Comics.
Yeah. We can't leave a homeboy hanging.
I was like, this is gonna appear in my brain. Capital Comics, that happens every Thursday night at 9 p.m. So the first hour is open to people. The second hour is like a Q&A if you're signed up for it. I was on the first episode. Dan was on the second one. I believe I talked about just like the process of making comics and things that I've learned. And you were talking about vision,
which was really fun. We had a really great conversation about that.
It was a great episode. It was really inspiring. Those guys are doing great stuff in the industry. So definitely connect with Metal Ninja Studios and follow them on what they're doing. And just even if you join that program and you're doing the free version, there's so much insight that comes part of that. So definitely look into that. You'll see our posts all over our page and whatnot about it too. But I mean, that virtual con, cool stuff. And we're already talking about next year and how to elevate it and how to make it better. And that's going to be exciting to see. We did one 2 years ago. It was fantastic. We teamed up with Gen X Comics, and doing it with Sierra Nova was just phenomenal. Like I think we're going to continue this partnership a bit more. And see where it goes. Good way to wrap up the year, because right before that was like the insanity of, it was Baltimore Comic-Con one weekend and then New York Comic-Con the next weekend. And I kind of just burned me out for the year. That much travel.
You were kind of cashed after that. I'd say it was busy. It was busy for sure.
Well, Baltimore was different.
It's always work though, because it's always last minute clutch, because I do a lot of that design work for them. So it's like, it's kind of it stresses me out, but I love that event, and I love the Ringos a lot. But yeah, every year it's just like, man, it's exciting, but it's also like, crap. Did I put too much on my plate?
There was last year when I did it, I think I've done it. I did it last year. I think that was my first year I did it as CWS. And I got to go to each table. We had a table. It was just set up a booth with some stickers and like flyers and all that. And we got to just kind of hang out there, and there wasn't a lot of traffic. So we'd go around and film everybody. And I got to like get so much footage that first year. And so this year, and we also did the Creator Collect-em-all, where it's a really cool thing we put together, and we just do it at Baltimore. We want to do it in more places. but that's basically where we have a cool sheet where you could win prizes. It tells you the prizes of the tiers, and you have to go to a creator, hear their pitch, and once you hear their pitch, they'll sign off on your paper. And the more creators you get, the more prizes you'll get. And that was just a cool thing to get uh, attendees to do and kind of like go up to these tables because it generated so many more sales for these creators.
Yeah.
And one kid spent like $1,000, which was wild. And he completed everything both years
Yeah.
in a row. Um,
Yeah.
Super cool stuff. Like,
He did it so fast, dude. We were like, what?
yes.
Yeah.
And it gave people a mission. It gave them a purpose to go
Yeah.
out and attend all 3 days. When you're attending a con
Yeah.
like that as an attendee with just like, I'm just going to go because it's local and hanging out. It gave people to go talk to indie creators and gave indie creators a way to practice their pitch. So I was trying to think of how it benefited audience and creator, and it created sales, gave them practice, gave them an audience, and it gave an audience a thing to do, a way to win prizes and a way to connect and go to tables or interact with things they would have never even really approached or thought about approaching, or that awkwardness angle that happens. So I love what we do there.
Yeah.
This year was so crazy because I wanted to go film like we typically do, but we had so many people coming up to our table, just like talking to us, asking us questions, doing little interview things, like just repping their stuff or CWS like materials that they got. And I couldn't even leave the table really.
I
When I
know.
did, it'd be to bust a mission, then come back or get some food and come back. And we were just stuck there. And I love that. I love when it doesn't go as planned because of a positive thing that came
Right.
over.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it generally goes that way. There's always hiccups, but
Yeah.
it generally ends pretty well. A lot of good conversations.
Hmm. And just like with New York, I connected with Anthony Ignacio there, and he does a book called Super Guy. Phenomenal book, phenomenal dude. We had just been acquaintances at that point, like on Instagram and whatnot. But I hit up Anthony once I got to New York Comic Con. And we became buddies. He's actually part of the Apollo team. We're actually onboarding Super Guy soon as well. And it
Nice.
was cool how like a con like that can open up opportunities for both of us because his networking and the way he approaches people and talks to them gave me a lot of leads and vice versa. And it was cool having, being with someone who kind of grinds just as much as I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And finding people like that was exciting. So, and
Yeah.
mega shout out to Anthony. He's a great guy.
Good collaboration opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's it was crazy. It was a lot of, and I mean, comics aside, I didn't count how many books we released this year, but I think it was close to 13 or 14 Apollo books that came out. It was a year of a lot of work, but I feel like a lot of lessons, like in terms of marketing and promotion and pacing and like how to build up excitement for a book, or where some books probably didn't have as much success as I wish they did because of how we planned things out. So marketing wise and just presentation wise, I guess for Apollo, I learned a whole lot. And next year, we're only doing like 6 releases. I have 2 books coming out for sure, and probably 2 zines. But that was a big lesson of just like you got to pace stuff so people
Yeah.
can catch up to things.
Yeah. Well, us creators, we're like 20 miles ahead of what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
So it's trust me, just got to get a lot of grounded people around you. Because yeah, you'll like, no, this year I'm gonna do 24 books, no problem.
Yeah, you start looking at stuff, right? I could do that. But
Yeah,
then you're
no problem.
circling
got it
back to
all
the earlier
planned out, don't worry.
conversation. Bandwidth, dude. Bandwidth is just what I had a lot at the start of this year,
Well,
and it
it's
just got.
there's so much that happens around you that you can't predict any of that. It's chaos theory.
Yeah. I think I did like 9 Kickstarters this year, I want to say, in total, which is almost one a month for the whole year, and I helped a handful outside of that, which was pretty crazy. So it's cool helping people bring their books to life and their vision and help give them their confidence and be somewhere in the background to kind of just like encourage them and ensure it happens for them and share. That's why I share everything. Tag us in your posts and your everything, guys, because I will share that, and I will make sure it gets to people. So any support CWS does, it's genuinely because we want you to succeed.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And I think that's kind of it for the wrap up of the year at that point. Is there anything else you want to highlight that we may have overlooked?
And there's so much, but I think we just blabbed a lot, so that's okay. Yeah, I want I think it was just for the year, it was like I said, it was really good. It was like really getting ready for the leap, because I a lot of unforeseen things happen, obviously, in our industry too. So like, well, you can say unseen, but oops.
Whoop! Didn't mean to share that so fast. Was prepping that.
But I think it's, I think, the whole diamond thing, and there's just a lot of polarizing feels for the industry. And I feel like it was just kind of like understanding these evolving issues with the, the model is, in this industry, and just kind of how can we respond in the best way, because Chris says it all the time, and uh, there's so much good happening, and I think there's plenty of opportunity to highlight that, and kind of like just pour our time and effort into like the good things that are happening, but also take advantage of, you know, the print industry. For us, the print industry is moving forward at a rapid pace, and I think being on the forefront of adopting a lot of technology specifically for only creators, comic creators, manga and graphic novels, all uh, that's going to make for a great 2026. So it was all about kind of absorbing, educating ourselves, making mistakes, getting up fast, growing the team, bringing on knowledge, and just constantly keeping our ears out from the creators of like,
Yeah.
okay, what goes wrong? Yes, things happen. Like, a lot of things happen. No matter how good you get, you're always going to have issues here and there. So we're just trying to like work all those things out. And I think that's all this year is, just kind of becoming better, but also becoming, I guess, ready for the big leaps and bounds that are going to happen next year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like as chaotic as this year was, I've learned like definitely like know when to say no to some projects and some opportunities and things
yeah,
happening, or just be like now is not the time, type of thing, instead of just trying to chase stuff. I think, you know, I think a big thing to learn is like when to stop chasing and realize what you have in front of you.
yeah,
And that's a big lesson, because we're always trying to find what's the next thing to help carry me forward when you've probably been building something for a long time that you should just
yeah.
cater to more
You
and
get
be
so
patient
close to
with
it
it.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get so close to it. I like that idea. And also, add one into there is like step aside and let the collaborators do what they do best,
Yeah.
because they're going to be better at certain things than you are, and you just need to step aside and let them do it. That's the whole beauty about it. Uh, and I think that was a big, I mean, as a leader and also as a business, uh, collaborating with the partners, going out, like my big, like this, the whole beginning of all of this was just me going out of my way to have conversations with industry players and non-industry players that, you know, didn't have a clue what we were doing, what we had in our hands. And, and bringing partners in and just saying, okay, this is what needs to happen, but you're the point person on this part because you're the best. So I mean, it's just kind of like that. That's important to do, especially when you're working on a project. But you're right. I mean, also when to say no. Like things just, I suck at saying no for like partnerships and sponsorships, but like,
Same.
because it's like, yeah, I want to do it as much as often as possible. But yeah, you have to, especially as you grow, you're just gonna have to like pick and choose,
'Cause
because
you don't wanna let them down either, you know
you
what I
don't want
mean?
to let
That's a
them
big
down, and
aspect.
everything becomes quality. You have to have
Mhm.
quality output, and like, and I'll admit, like, as a creator too, it was always about speed for a while for me.
Yeah.
Um, but now, I mean, even like, for instance, the blue line, I've been spending the last few weeks just like learning a lot about blue line, and putting a lot of time and effort and like recrafting what the blue line is and what it does, and like, the options. And so we're going to bring some really great creator tools to the market next year, and I want them to be, you know I want them to be thought through. So like, and I just told someone on our team, like, I was like, yeah, I don't want them to look at this like, oh, here's another printer with a product.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, wow, this was created by someone who cares about the craft, who knows the craft, and cares about the details. You know, cares about the details. You know, of the. So
And it's taken us like a year to figure out like how to like push the blue line. In the last couple of weeks, we had some huge breakthroughs, and I think going to 2026, our blue line is going to be on fire.
yeah,
Literally with
we
production.
needed the time and focus on that.
Yeah,
And that's one thing that we're kind of taking away. It's like, yes, we can do that, but also being who I am, I want everything to be good, but all happen at once. Just that's just who I am, and that's, you know, obviously that's a flaw, or it's kind of the thing that keeps me going. I don't know, but the thing is, like, growing your team, stepping out of your way, putting the thing in place, and stepping out of the way, and letting the specialist go in and knock it out and do it. And that allows you to step over and focus more on the thing that you feel like you have to do. And so, you know, putting Jacob in a position of, you know, running project management on the POD side of things is like absolutely fantastic. Bringing Brian Thomas on as, you know, someone who literally done some incredible things in global distribution and, you know, supply chain. He can, you know, he stepped on and immediately could start doing things I wouldn't have even thought of.
Yeah.
So, but now that allowed me to like spend a little more time on creating a great product that is, you know, going to serve the creator community a lot, and also serve the process. You know, having blue line structured from the printer is, if you think about it, it's probably a great idea because it's, you know, so that's exactly what we, you know, what we're able to do, and that's what this year really, in a nutshell, was about: is finding our fit and getting ready for the big leap.
And I think 2026 is going to be wild. It's already starting off with a bang. The big leaps that Comix.1 just had with POD and how that's going to be rolling out.
That's
Global
I
Comics
guess
is
we
right
didn't
around the corner.
Yeah, that's definitely right around the corner. Like I said at the beginning, we're stress testing a lot, but we made some really great strides. I mean, it's a complicated system. It's very complex, and we've been building it. And again, it's getting the right people in place on the team that could kind of drive it home and see the vision come to life. And that's what we have. And Comix One has been really working with us closely on just making sure that this can, you know, operationally work fluidly with no hiccups. So there's still a lot to come, but I think we're making super fast, hitting super our milestones super quickly. So that's so much more going to happen in January. That's going to really. Then there's Global Comics.
Yeah,
that's going to happen super fast.
Which is such a bigger platform, which is why it's taking more time. Figuring out the proper integration.
Yeah, we're both we both have to kind of set up for that, because there's a lot that can, once you turn on the on switch, you want to make sure you're ready for that. And that's
everything connects.
Everyone wants to do things so quickly, but man, it's like what is it? Drinking from a fire hose.
Oh yeah,
you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Not manufacturing, that's for sure. Not with not with technical things either. Software.
Yeah, we want to have a smooth experience, you know, or as smooth as possible for that launch, and so that's why we've taken so much time and effort. And I think so many things are, you know, with this evolution, there's a transformation too that comes with like quality. And you know, when we dive into we'll jump into our Q&A right now to kind of talk more about that. But it's figuring out the best mechanics for everything so that it's easy for the creator to like, oh, this is a simple process and not overly complicated. But it's also easy for the platform, but it's also easy for the printer, and it's also easy for the customer getting it as well in great condition. So there's little fragments of everything, and as you start putting in the pieces, you start seeing all the details that every part of that process needs, or can be elevated or changed, or just doesn't make sense or work, you know. Trial and error through the last 4 months, I think, that we've been doing this at this point.
Well, it's also kind of and I think that, you know, one of the questions on here even asked about like the print on demand system, and you know, if
Yeah,
errors happen and stuff like that. Well, I think the first thing kind of make clear too is that we're migrating to indigos. Like we're going to start using HP indigos. So that transition is going to happen, and there's going to be a big leap and bound on quality output too.
Yeah.
That's because the system we're building allows us to monitor print partners that also have indigos. So the consistency across the board is absolutely critical for this to be really great for comic creators. Because again, it's about collectible grade, not high quality, collectible grade quality. So it's got to be consistent across the board. So a lot of those things are going to be worked out. So we do have still some of the pains from like, toner based printers and some of the digital printers we've been using that we're kind of growing out of. So I mean, there's still hiccups that happen, and that transition's kind of tough, but for the most part it's like nothing compared to like moving an entire building from so it's a matter of like, okay, it's going to look better, but also a lot of the manufacturing flaws that kind of we get from time to time because the printers can't handle the amount of work that keeps coming in, so we have to scale. So those things happen, and creators get, we have people out there who get mad, and that's okay. I mean, you pay money for it, but also just bringing it to our attention also allows us to kind of like take a crack at it and figure out, okay, where did this go wrong? What didn't happen? And that's really just kind of keep plugging holes that is in our like our machines and stuff like that, rather than, it's not like the whole system sucks and just because an error happens that the whole system's flawed. Just it's manufacturing. Like you do get, no matter what, no matter how good of the presses you get, which is the second part of that question, where it's like fulfillment. Our goal in general is just like old school manufacturing, except it's not, no one died today, or like you think broken things shipped off or something like it's how many reprints or errors happened. And that is like our huge focus, is like, how do we always keep that down? And we're going to be literally crazy about that going forward, because that's going to be a metric of success for us. So that's going to be a part of it, but also having consistency on the machines is going to help us do that, because then calibrate properly across the board and monitor across the board. That's why we're investing in technology, a lot more technology. But when a customer gets something, because it will happen, no matter how great of a printing operation, how many people check, because we do have a great quality control system. I mean, people at every station have to check off on stuff. We just had something recently happen where it wasn't that they didn't check it. Glossy slip sheets got into the mix of our slip sheets, and they literally had them in the book, and that gloss rubs on covers, and it starts giving those little scuffs across.
Yeah.
That gloss it's like grippy. So it's like you got that in a kind of a shipping box, and you're rattling around as it ships. That happens. We've seen it happen, and you even even got something like that.
And something I didn't even realize until until this customer pointed it out. I noticed it when I got it because I checked the book, like, okay, this looks great and whatnot. But like until that customer pointed it out, I was like, oh, I should check out my books. And I noticed some stuff. And it was one of those things I was like, I would have never realized or noticed this attention to detail, because not everyone's as attentive as the next creator either. You know what I mean? I might have an order that I'm like, oh, there's a couple of, imperfections. It's whatever. Like I brush it off. But some people are very attentive to every speck of detail. And I respect that so much.
Yeah. Well, it's a collectible. We're in a collectible era, and it's important that even the first time creators get collectible quality. And I think, that's going to be a huge, see, the thing is, we get this system in place and the technology, those things become more prominent of like a singular focus. Our team grows, we have people who are specifically focused on that. So it's like, that's going to be a huge goal, is like, yes, I want everyone to be grading their comic books after they get a print, no matter if it's the first, no matter if it's a floppy or a premium kind of cover. It doesn't matter. They should be consistent. But I am also aware that shit happens. Machines have, you're printing tens of thousands of books in a run, and
A
one of
day.
them,
Like,
yeah, and one of them gets scuffed up, like, or a page gets scuffed up and it gets bound, and then it's in stacks, and like people are flying through it. Anyone could have a miss day, overlook it or anything like that. It happens. That's just realistically, it's just our job to constantly put in improvements in the operating procedures and the quality control checks across the board, and that's good. We kind of have to.
yeah.
It's that same gist of fall fast, get back up faster, or something like that.
Something like that.
So it's something like that. I probably butchered it, but yeah, it's really important. But that's it. It did happen, and we want to rectify anything that we want to make that better. And when print on demand comes, like, we're gonna have a great policy in place, and I'm confident that like it won't be an issue for us. That it's no questions. Print, reprint. I mean, when it comes to book of ones, there's not even, if there's a scuff and an end user and a buyer gets a scuffed up book, it's going to be a click of a button, reprint, sent.
Yep.
Like, it has to be that way. So to answer that question, we're going to work our asses off to mitigate those problems as we put this system in place. But when it does happen, infrequently, but when it does happen, we're gonna fix it without question. And shit, we'll put an apology note in there. But we've done that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be it's one of the biggest challenges in general in print and manufacturing. So, but I think we can overcome a lot of that.
Especially for like what we print. You know what I mean? It's so fragile in that sense. Like, there's so many things you have to kind of take in consideration with paper and ink, and the heaviness and distribution of it all. There's not a lot of other companies that are dealing in manufacturing with something as fragile as what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's specific to like how perfect you could print out like cardboard for other companies and whatnot, and there's scuffs or some marks or some lines, and you're like, that's just part of production. But with comics, it has to be pristine. And it's kind of crazy that
Yeah.
we're in the one manufacturing business where it has to be top tier quality all the time, where some
But
other
also
companies,
affordable.
and also affordable.
That's trust me. Yeah. I mean, that's the tough part. I mean, you got to have it affordable. Creators need to make money, but also, the consistency and quality has to be up there as collectible. But we've kind of put in kind of plans in place to kind of offer both sides of that party. Very creative things that I think we're going to have integrated with our operating system, our online dashboard, that is going to be really great for tiers of kind of types of books that allow creators to get top premium type books, but also the old school floppies, and like some of I'm not going to start dropping some things on here, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of great options are going to open up, and it's going to mitigate a lot of that problem too. Because if your plan is to buy a bunch of throwaways or floppies that you're folding up, putting in your back pocket because that is wanted, then yeah, it's going to be cheap, because you don't need that extra layers of protection and stuff like that. But the premium ones, we're taking a kind of deeper look at, and always find ways to solve the problems really fast, or at least rectify the errors and reprint without a question, but also see it at the bigger picture, and where is this happening? How did it happen? Becomes more of a focus going forward. That's what's going to be exciting I like that kind of stuff. Problem solving is incredibly great, but I hate that it's at the expense of someone's orders. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things. And it's also like, a level of understanding. And it's if you work with us, we'll work with you. And always, like it's
yeah, and
always
we don't have a problem with fixing our mistakes.
mhm.
I mean, we've done that enough. We've done a lot. So
Especially the last 2024. That was
2024 was hard. Yeah. Yeah.
so.
It was
And
our
so the other question that popped up, which I mean, I guess I totally get this because the level of global, what that means for certain countries. And so somebody had asked if
yeah.
we could ship to like Georgia, and
Yeah.
that's near Russia and everything in that region. And so like shipping gets like muggy
Yeah.
in certain areas on what's allowed or what's
Yeah.
capable.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. We talked about this a little. Like, I haven't delved into like the specific countries because you get into the weeds there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing I do know where it's by. I don't know if it's. I'd have to talk to Brian, but this basically if we get Germany is on the map. So Germany is definitely a country. It's not crossing any oceans, so I can imagine it wouldn't be that crazy. I just don't know how to answer what supplier will be close enough there, but I also am not the global supply chain strategist that knows all the partners that we're kind of working with.
Yeah.
But I do know Germany is close enough, and knowing some of these countries, like where things are happening and where people are asking, is totally in the books. But my quick answer is, rather than shipping from the US to you in Georgia, you'll get something that's on the same continent. That's probably a lot faster. So yes, in Georgia, in that area, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Something we just got to, and it's good that we get stuff like that. Certain countries mentioned and named so we could do research. Peru was another country that got brought up
Peru's
a lot.
definitely, Peru's definitely a big one. Peru's definitely on the map.
Yeah. And so there's the more we know, the more we can kind of list out and find the direct answers.
Yeah.
But it's as long as you guys are asking and bringing awareness, we just like when you're creating, you're kind of in the weeds of your own stuff and you're trying to make sure certain things are there. And you kind of, when you're talking about global, there's a lot to overlook.
Logistics is crazy. Logistics and honestly, currency and pricing, like making sure that. So that's
Australia's hard. Australia's expensive.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of and I said this before, like the economics of print is volume. So like if we're not pushing a lot, like we have to negotiate to get like the best for suppliers, like to get the best prices. Not only that, negotiate that they follow our standards and give us a great price for the creators. So so like that's a tall order, especially for countries that we don't have like guaranteed demand. However, those countries that we don't print directly in will definitely have a close by, like our global supply chain strategist. He knows these are the spots to get to kind of cover that area, those areas. And like it takes just like literally getting the map out and saying, okay, this is the radius that they cover, and being able to kind of like, so countries that don't get it will still have an opportunity to receive orders and print and all that stuff. But it's just, it's just really kind of working out the economics, but also logistics.
Figuring out what new partnerships open up throughout the year to expand some of this. So some of it just like takes time as well, more than anything.
Yeah, there's easy low hanging fruit, like countries and regions, UK, EU, all that stuff. Like that's even Australia. Obviously, the price points are just going to be different, and that's just the way it is. So the whole business model that we have, it's going to be the more volume. It's all about pushing savings to the creators at the end of the day. And I know that sounds like, it's like, but like we need to corral volume in different areas so that we get the best price to offer the lowest prices to the creators to print. But again, as long as that partner is following our SOP, quality standards, output, all those things, and then meeting us somewhere in a great price point that the creators can, make money when things print through that region. So Yeah, there's just a lot to it, but we're going to get there. We'll be moving pretty fast. The technologies was the hardest part to build. The supply chain, it's hard, but it's definitely going to move a lot faster once we get traction in a couple of countries.
Love it. And so to kind of wrap up the show too, we have a couple campaign shout outs to wrap up the year with for the people that were crazy enough to launch a campaign in December. And and then we have a couple upcoming campaigns that we're actually going to highlight in the next, actually most of these launched in January too, which is really exciting. But right now what's live is we have Lawful Justice has 14 days to go. Some really good friends of ours. I'm really excited for what they're doing overall. I'm gonna make that a bit bigger. There we go. And super close to their goal, 2,500. They're only about 400 off. Let's help them cross that finish line. A lot of cool stuff. We have Kyle who did a bunch of the OG CWS, images of ink and the team and whatnot. But they have some really
Nice.
cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Where's the
Yeah,
creators?
Pet Talk's good. He's got some really great work.
Neil's a great dude. He's done a lot with of vanilla gaming and whatnot. And yeah, Kyle's just phenomenal. And so really cool stuff. Check out this campaign. We actually have 3 campaigns that are in their pre-launch phase right now. And actually one of them is an Apollo book, which I'm excited to talk about too. But we actually highlighted these guys recently too. Taino Magaki, the Rebellion of the Gods Against the Titans. This is in pre-launch. Check it out. Oh, I haven't saved. All right, cool. But yeah, I've been seeing their ads on Instagram too. So these dudes are going all out for this book.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a good pre-launch page.
Cool.
It gives you a
Cool pages too.
yeah, cool stuff. So keep an eye out for them. Check out their Instagram page. If you search for them, they'll pop up right when you type in their title. We have another book that I believe is going live in January, and it's on fundmycomic.com. Sorry, I'm pulling that up right here.
Good people over there too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I'm curious. I'm gonna watch this campaign. I'm really curious. I haven't done something on Fund My Comic before, but they're actually doing some stuff. Jumper Jones sounds pretty cool. Issue 7. Space Happy. Curious, dude. I want to check out this platform. It seems like they're doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, they're cool. I had a couple conversations with them. They're very they really have the nonprofit kind of mindset approach, which I really like that. We're talking with them too. I think there's an opportunity there that, I mean, with these crowdfunding platforms, it just makes sense that it's kind of PODs kind of integrated with them. So
yeah,
there's a lot of opportunity there. They have low percentage. I think they have a really low percentage fee for the funding.
That's what creators look for a lot now too, is that percentage
fee. Important. Yeah.
And we also have Outer Space #3, Cosmic Canvas infused sci-fi. And so I'm super hyped. Eric Allred, Ben Collins, and Jackie Venturi worked on this. It's a new Apollo book hitting, I believe, January 13th. It goes live. The 3rd issue in their volume, and they have a bunch of really cool goodies. So we'll be talking. I think they're coming on the show, at least on Spilled Ink, and we're going to be talking about their campaign. So I'm super hyped about that. But those are the 4 we have listed. If you guys want to be featured on this, fill out our crowdfunding form in the episode description. You could also just head to comicswellspring.com, crowdfunding right up top. Fill out the form. We'll get you guys a shout out here. You also get a 10% discount on your printing. So make sure you fill that out. We'll get that cleared up for you guys. And it runs all year long. So if you want a discount on your printing, you're running a campaign on one of these platforms, definitely fill it out. It takes 3 seconds. And then you get a cool little shout out. And then tag us in your posts and everything so we can share it and let people know. And maybe we go work out a live or something, or at least get your artist, or if you want to come draw and hang out on a live show, more than happy to have creators on that. But I think that wraps it up. We said 30 minutes, Dan.
I know, dude.
Is the one day.
No, I'm never good at that. That's why I kind of sit back and I'm trying not to lead meetings anymore because just blab.
I love that's why we made a podcast. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. And it's cold outside. I'm not doing anything today.
I know. People.
Yeah, the feel is 7 degrees outside. I'm not leaving. But dude, I mean, 2025 is I posted all over. I was saying this is my last podcast with CWS of 2025.
It's crazy.
But yeah, dude, it's been a long year. It's been intense. It's been a lot of hurdles, a lot of successes. And it's always good to remember to like not let those, those hard moments and those hard hurdles discourage you from the year of growth and wins and successes, because it's really
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in those small things. But the big leaps we've all done in our personal and professional and comic book lives are just tremendous. And it's led up to, like, I think keeping 2026 is already booked. I I don't even know how we're gonna fit cons in there for 2026, but we
Yeah.
are. So
Pretty crazy.
I think we're kicking off with Comics Jam, not Comics Jam, is that Comics Pro, and OAX, I think is what we're looking at
Oh
first
yeah,
for this
OAX. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
February. So
Yeah.
rest in January as we adjust, and then it starts. The races begin, and then we'll be probably figuring out other cons we'll be attending this year. From New York to San Diego to Baltimore to IC3 to maybe Heroes, all this type of stuff. So we'll keep announcements going there.
For
We have
sure.
another episode of the print shop should be coming out probably the 13th. We're trying to do it bi-weekly. And so we'll be sticking around there with some small updates. Chris should be back. Poor dude's sick. Sorry, so sorry, Chris. This is what happens when you're not here, Chris. We go on for an hour and a half.
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of piggyback that, and just, the when you're creating something, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna have issues, things aren't gonna be perfect the way you imagined it at the beginning. I mean, anyone drawing a composition knows that. Um, and sometimes it makes for a better picture at the end. Um, so just take it as a learning experience, and just keep creating the next thing and doing better and better and better, and you realize that you grow differently than you imagined. So I think that's that's what's great about life, and that's what's great about being a creator is the unexpected turns and twists of growth along the journey. That's what makes it all fun. So
And if you're challenging yourself, you're going to be growing somehow.
yeah,
This is the positive part.
yeah,
But I
100%.
love it. I mean, dude, happy holidays. Happy holidays to all of our audience. I hope you're all wrapping up the year in a great way. I hope you all get some rest and some recharge to attack 2026. We have so much coming to you right out of the gate at the start of the year. So CWS is going to be your all central place for comics and indie comics and anything you're looking for. So please ask us your questions, join our
Yeah.
Discord, be part of our community, and we're excited to see you on the other side of the new year.
Yep. Good luck, everyone. See you on the other side.
I love that exit too. So we'll keep it at that. Thank you guys
All
so
right.
much. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everyone.
Dan.